Okay, if you haven't already, please acknowledge the recording. I want to welcome everyone, July 18th, 2023. I don't see any Sicilians with us, but I'm glad we have a good turnout of Americani. We have 12 people online with us right at the moment. Now we're 13 with Scott joining us. We were just talking about train travel, and Jean and John are going to be in Sicily in September, and Susan Finley was filling them in on her train travel from Cefalù to, you went to Taormina from Cefalù, Susan?
I started out in Taormina and Marseille. Well, first of all, Palermo. We flew into Palermo, and then from Palermo we went to Taormina and Marseille, which is a very short ride, like 30 minutes and that. But the one to Taormina was quite a bit longer. But we just went from Taormina to Taormina, which I thought was a beautiful train ride in that. And you'll see Mount Etna. That was very pretty.
How long did it take to go from Taormina to Taormina?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
How long did it take to go from Taormina to Taormina?
I don't remember how long it was. I mean, it'd have maybe 2 hours, 2 or 3. I mean, it wasn't real long in that. But it's a beautiful train ride, as long as the train's there. So.
Welcome, PJ.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody.
Hello, PJ.
Hi.
Hi, Teresa.
Hello.
We were just talking about our train ride.
Colo,
Susan.
question.
So she gave us some insight into our first week together.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
The only holdup you could have in a train is those strikes. They strike
Right.
in there,
Right.
and they'll come out of left field, and you don't even know they're striking. You'll
Right.
just hear strike. You ain't going to see anybody with picket signs and any of that.
Right.
And
you just get there and they tell you,
get there.
oh, yeah, that train's not running or something. Or they just cancel them, and you have no idea that
You
it's
just have to wait it out and change. That's
right. Because this time we had a lot of problems in Italy with the trains, which we haven't had as much in the past and that. But in Cinque Terre, we had a terrible time there with the trains and that, because at that time they were on strike, or I think they were redoing the railroad tracks and that. And so we got there, we had our tickets, and they're like, oh, that train is canceled. That's why we didn't get our tickets after that, because it was just difficult to figure out what's going on. They kind of run by their own schedule there.
So then
in the US, when they cancel a train, they start running buses. Do they do that?
We just waited for the next train.
You're just out. You're just SOL basically.
Yeah.
Until the next.
I think they did mention something about the buses and that, but the train was like, or either we got on the train at one place and we were on for 45 minutes, and that train was so many people. It was Cinque Terre, and that people were yelling, and it was a terrible experience. Somebody pushed me up the steps and that I fell. My husband goes, "We're not going back there again." It's a nice place to see, but it's very overcrowded. So many what there, and that.
What place is that?
Cinque Terre.
Hey, Nick. I got a question, if I could.
Sure.
Sherry informed me that this meeting was going to also emphasize the shoe repair shops that were in Little Italy.
Yeah.
Over the years, and I was just going to make some suggestions on that. I'd like to participate more, but I have some things going on right now. And I just
recording in progress.
Say again.
Hi. Ciao a tutti.
Hi, Ella.
Hi, everybody.
What I wanted to emphasize is, I have 6 blood relatives at one time or another that were shoe repairmen. 3 of my uncles, the Zeals, and my dad, my brother Lou, and then my great uncle. So I know enough about some of the shoe shops in radiation, Little Italy, and then my dad was in downtown Omaha for a number of years, and he was out in the North Side Colony before World War II. But if we at another time could set up something specifically for that, because I asked Sherry, and I'm going to contact Sammy Dimauro, who's probably got the last full range shoe shop in Omaha. That's of Italian American heritage. My brother Lou works for him. He just closed his shop in Little Italy within the last couple of years, and was downtown, worked with my dad over the years. And then I understand there's one shoe shop in Benson that either is run by or owned by or something to do with Angelo Emmanuel, who is from the music family. So
There's also,
I just wondered if we could do something to try to, if you want to learn more and have more of an historical view, if we could set some up in the near future that could work on that. So go ahead. That's my point.
I have a list of all the shoe shops from 1948 and 1929. I had 4 uncles that had shops. And there's also one other shop in Fremont that's owned by my brother. That's still going on.
Okay. Well, see, that's
Yeah,
come out. So go ahead.
Sherry had hoped to actually do a live shot, and I believe she's doing that right now. So let me spotlight her for everyone. Okay, so she's actually in the shoe shop. And this, I believe, is Sammy's shop. Is that right?
Looks like
Yes, I'm in his shop right now. So I'm going to go on the outside and show you what it looks like out here. So he's on 50th and Grover in Midtown Omaha. That's his, I don't know if you can see it. Can you see his sign?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. You can still see it? All right. Oh, I just changed it. Sorry.
Now we can't.
See
All right,
you.
there's a sign. Now I see where I can see you guys.
Is Sammy gonna participate in this?
I don't know, PJ. I'm just kind of winging this. Probably not. We're not going to bother him. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of show you guys the shop.
All right.
And hopefully another day he'll be available. So I'll just I usually come here once in a while and I go to the back and I hang out with the guys and bug Sam, maybe about family stuff or whatever. But I'm kind of intending on just doing that so I can introduce you to the people who work here and you can see what it looks like on the inside. And then I'm probably just going to leave after that. We'll have to schedule another time for him to meet. So this is the shoe shop. This shoe shop has been here, and if Dawn is on, she might be able to give us some information too. The shoe shop has been here for a number of years, and these are family pictures. That's the family. That's the picture that's actually in the Sons of Italy Hall right there. That's a picture of his dad, Andy, the shoemaker, bowling on the bottom left-hand corner. And some other photos he has up here too. But he sells all kinds of things in the store. One of the things,
Sherry?
can you repeat that?
What's their last name, Sherry?
Mine?
No, their last name, Andy.
Dimauro. It's
Oh,
Dimauro. Yeah.
Gotcha.
No, this
So
is,
the shoe shop is named Andy's, but it doesn't have anything to do with the owner anymore.
no, Uncle Andy passed away quite a while ago, but this is Uncle Andy here in the picture. That's the shop on 42nd.
Silvana, mi senti?
Ciao a tutti ragazzi.
Questo è un negozio di scarpe che discende dai Carlentinesi di Mauro.
Di Mauro.
Sì, però si chiama Andy.
Mauro. E chi sono studenti? Vabbè, Carlentini di Mauro c'è Rino, che conosciamo. Poi ci sono altre persone che si chiamano Di Mauro che io conosco. Amico di mio marito.
We just came back today after bound because it messed up Friday, 1795, and then 1797.
So you can see there's a couple people waiting in line. And when I get a chance, I'll go to the back. So I'm going to go on silent for a minute and you guys can talk.
Okay.
Where did you say, where is this located?
50th and
It's on
Grover.
50th and Grover.
50th and Grover?
Mm-hmm.
Do they fix shoes or they just sell shoes and accessories for shoes?
Well, they fix shoes.
They fix.
Yes.
Ah, che bello, ancora loro le riparano le scarpe. Proprio un calzolaio a tutti gli effetti.
È tramandato il mestiere ai
Is
suoi
done, then
nipoti,
I'll go in the
sicuramente.
back.
Noi ne abbiamo calzolai da noi?
Sì, certo, a Carlentini ce ne sono alcuni che sono molto bravi. A Carlentini ce n'era uno, non so, forse a qui, ma a Lentini ce ne sono due, alcuni sono giovani
In
proprio.
Lentini we have 2 left over.
Mhm. Addirittura so che quelli della via Conti
One of the
Alaimo
things I think that would
fanno
be
proprio le scarpe.
interesting is to also get the Alfio Caltabiano story of shoemaking from his museum.
Oh yeah. Oh, comes from there?
Repeat that. What's the museum?
There's a museum in Carlentini called the Antique Mysteries.
Art and trades, something like that.
Sì, ci sono tutti gli attrezzi dei calzolai.
Alfio Caltabiano is the responsible for this. Actually, that's his own personal collection, and he has several instruments.
20 people on right now. I'll let you listen.
Several instruments coming from Omaha, one from a barber shop and one from a shoemaker.
Comunque anticamente molti avevano gli attrezzi a casa per fare queste cose. Mia nonna, per esempio, in periodo di guerra, faceva le scarpe alle mie zie, sai quali? Gli espadrillos, quelli che si fanno con la corda, con la base di corda.
Silvana, she's saying, well, you have to know that in Sicily, during the past, a lot of people, they had those tools at home. For example, during the Second World War, my grandma, she used to make shoes for her sister.
That's right.
Oh.
So right now I'm with Miss Genovese. What's your first name?
Mary.
With Mary Genovese. She works with
Hi.
Sam.
Ciao. Tanti saluti da Carlentini.
Greetings from Carlentini.
This is greetings from Carlentini.
Ah.
That's where they're at right now.
Greetings from
Texas.
Omaha.
And Omaha,
In
and
Texas.
all over.
California. All over. They say hi. Please throw the TJ right there.
Oh, yeah.
I'll run around back here. Yep. Yeah.
Hey, this is a surprise. So good job. Look at you.
Sherry, if you don't mind, I'd like to just ask Joanne Fuccio a couple questions. So I'm going to turn the spotlight off for a second here. Oh, you're in the back there. Okay, well, maybe you should continue.
That's one of his helpers. That's one of Sam's helpers. What is your name, hon? What is your name? Bryce. Bryce, you're on a Zoom call in Sicily right now.
Ciao.
They say ciao. This one is Sam at work.
Quindi loro le scarpe le fanno tutte.
Everybody makes shoes, huh? So they don't just fix them. They are able to do shoes from zero, isn't it? It seems so.
I don't know about from zero.
Okay. Maybe they could be able to, but maybe it's not a market that exists anymore.
Right.
Mi chiedo, sicuramente saranno anche capaci di fare scarpe da zero.
Ma
Però
sì,
magari
visto quel ragazzo stava facendo la suola della scarpa, l'hai visto?
sì, magari non le fanno tutte da zero perché ormai il mercato non lo richiede più. Che bello, it's huge. È grande.
Okay, so I'm going to ask Joanne a couple questions here because I know she's got limited amount of time. Joanne, I just wanted to talk about the genealogy room at the festival. And I got a message from Jen Mandolfo Carey. And I just got it today, so I really didn't have a chance to digest it. But she was offering to, use her key to open up. But then she was also saying Mary lives across the street, Mary Vendetti. Do you know about that?
Mary they have a house that's across the street, that they use as, I don't know if it's rental property right now or what it is, or if they'll be staying there during the festival. But, there are numerous that are going to be in that area that has keys. So we need to let you in or unlock it or lock it back up. Like I said, you have my number. You can text me, you can text Jen, and we can definitely get something taken care of.
Okay, super. I actually made some discoveries.
Hey
on
guys,
your
I've got some
tree.
information too.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead and say your
As
name.
of this year, starting in 1923, gone down through the generations, this year, 2023, makes this establishment 100 years old, down through generation to generation to generation.
Wow,
Complimenti.
that's impressive.
Wow, complimenti.
Our
Congrats.
shoe shop started in 1919 in Fremont. We had a 100-year anniversary in 2019.
100 anni. Oh yeah.
So,
They're all listening to you now.
Who's that?
What was the original store?
Yeah, Dean. Oh, say
The
that again.
original store was down on Park Avenue. I actually have that sign hanging in my garage.
You should show it. Beautiful. Well done. Beautiful.
My name is Patty,
Ciao,
and I
Pat.
work here with Sam at Andy's.
Dice dov'era il primo negozio? E allora lei ha detto che era su questa avenue e lei ancora ha detto il nome della avenue. E lei ancora ha
Park Avenue, allora, detto.
Park Avenue e lei ancora ha la vecchia insegna di quel negozio conservata nel suo garage.
Park
E
Avenue
si
and
chiama-
what?
Ma come si chiamava il negozio, il primo
And what
negozio?
was the name of the shop?
Andy's Shoe Repair,
Andy
Omaha,
Shoe.
Nebraska.
Who was the original owner?
I don't know
Was it
his,
Andy?
I know it was his
Uncle?
before that. Yes, before Andy. Uncle. And I cannot remember his name.
that
Yes, on
was,
the Dimauro
was
side.
he was at Dimauro?
Yes.
Era un Dimauro.
Ma chi sono i parenti di questi signori a Carlentini?
Are those Dimauro from Lentini or Carlentini? Do you know?
We're from
Carlentini?
Dimauro
Erano
Carlentini.
Dimauro di Carlentini.
Ma chissà quale Di Mauro, perché ce ne sono tanti. Uno è Rino, per esempio, poi io conosco Antonio Di Mauro con suo fratello, quello che fa il giornalista, sai?
There's so many Dimauro. One is the guy who works in the city hall, in the register office. Another
We
one.
got off permit.
He walked away from the room. That's his name.
Mary, who's this gentleman?
My name's Louis Asta. My dad had a shoe repair in Omaha since 1945, but we're all retired now. Are you from Omaha?
I'm not, but there's a lot of us on here from Omaha, and PJ was on here a minute ago.
Yeah, PJ is my brother. He's my younger brother.
Oh, okay.
Mi somiglia a uno che conosco io che si chiama Di Mauro.
Two of my uncles had shoe repair shops. It was Cavalieri. One was Janos Cavaleri. He was in downtown. And then my other uncle was on 32nd and Leavenworth. That was Ross Cavalieri. Then also I had another uncle from New York. His name was Sharon. He come to Omaha when he had the prisoners that were, he was taking care of, he was an MP, he was taking care of the prisoners, the Italian prisoners downtown Omaha.
Hey,
His name was Tom.
are you familiar with Subby Shoe Shop? Subby?
Subby Shoe Shop.
Yeah.
In Omaha.
Teresa Manganero and I have a grandfather who had Subby's Shoe Shop.
In Omaha.
You know,
Oh, there was all kind of shoe repair shops up in Omaha.
In
Like I said, my
1928, there were 91 of them.
Yeah, my uncle had one. Well, two of my uncles had one. My uncle was downtown Omaha. He was next to the Western Union office in downtown. His name was Cavaleri. Called Yano Shoe Repair.
Bob
You recall that?
had 3 in Omaha at one time.
We were in a, you see everybody, but
So why do you think that shoe repair shops are closing?
Well, probably with that COVID deal, they never got the grants like some of these other companies did.
The shoes
know,
are
and
not flexible. Most
Then
shoes are not.
they're all about my age, you know, in their late 60s, 70s, maybe even 80s.
Ah, tutti quelli che fanno scarpe hanno tutti la sua età ormai.
E certo, anche a Carlentini sono
Quanti
tutti
anni?
morti. A Carlentini c'era un calzolaio che era bravissimo, che si chiamava Camillo Patanè.
In Carlentini, there was a shoemaker who was amazing. His name was Camillo Patanè.
Patanè.
Well, that's where my uncle Yano and Ross, they come from Carlentini.
Come Yano?
Back then, I think when you were, well, I don't know, what, 14 years old, then you become an apprentice. And both of them knew how to make shoes.
Come si chiamava questo suo parente di Carlentini?
Ross, but it's not Liliana Zito's husband. No, that's another Ross. He was now he's retired. He was a barber. Okay, interesting.
So, yeah, well, a lot of my family, the Cavaliers, they were shoe repairmen.
Oh.
I had a great uncle that had a shoe repair shop on 40th and Farnham.
Okay.
His name was Cavalieri.
So
I come from
Cavaliers.
I come from a repairman.
Yeah, there are a lot of Cavalieri. It's true.
Like my uncle Yano, that was a shoe repairman. I think he was about 17 years old. He was going to turn 18. And then you automatically had to go in the Italian army back then. So that's why a lot of them come to America. Is that still true? The Italians, they have to still serve in the service?
So the Italians who served the American army are you asking if they became Americans?
No.
Quindi è andato in America nel dopoguerra questo signore, Yano Cavaleri. Carlentini ci sono tanti cavalieri, tipo...
Not anymore.
When you turn 18 years old, it was, if you were Italian, you served the Italian army when you turned 18.
No, it's not mandatory anymore. It's not obligatory. They can choose nowadays.
Yeah.
In the past, they had no choices. Ormai il servizio militare non è più, si dice, obbligatorio.
No?
Well, back to your, a lot of shoe repair shop closed. Well, during COVID, but a lot of the shoe repairmen got older. And of course, now the rents anywhere in the country, they're just outrageous. When you do a service, you can't afford to pay $2,000 a month for rent. Like a jewelry store will sell a diamond ring.
Sono salite alle stelle un sacco di negozietti, soprattutto questi qua, non possono più reggere $2.000 di affitto al mese. E quindi molti
ci rinunciano, se hanno la casa propria, certo, magari.
My brother owns his shop. We've had the building since 1967.
That's Dean.
Ma glielo puoi chiedere se ha dei parenti a Carlentini, se ha fatto le ricerche per capire chi sono i suoi parenti?
Dean is in Omaha.
Is he?
Yeah, he's downtown. But she's in
Silvana, she's asking if you have double checked if you have relatives in Carlentini.
Yeah, I still got some great aunts over there.
Sì,
My
ancora
brother
dai.
PJ Asa probably knows more about that than I do. But I guess
Sì,
he stepped away.
PJ Asta ha fatto tante ricerche sulla sua famiglia.
E chi
Ha
sono?
sicuramente dei profili. Do you know them? Do you know those great uncle?
Thank you.
Yeah,
I actually have a family tree in my database. I've done quite a lot of work for people.
I'm 77 years, and most of my great aunts and great uncles, they've all gone to the great beyond up there in the heaven.
Can you hear us right now?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes.
Sorry.
I have distant relatives, like many cousins probably.
Molti cugini sicuramente. C'è Nika che sicuramente ha l'albero genealogico perché ha fatto tanti lavori con PJ Asta. But you don't remember any name, right?
Just the last name Cavalieri. That's all I remember.
Soltanto Cavaleri si ricorda.
Ma Cavaleri chi?
Who is your father?
My father
Perché
was
Cavaleri c'è,
Philip.
per esempio, a Carlentini
Name
c'è Matteo Cavaleri, che ha il negozio
The last name was I'm from Gibellina.
Ah, your father came from Gibellina?
Yeah, I guess they had an earthquake there back in
1968.
68, and I guess all the records lost, they said.
Yes. Suo papà emigrò da Gibellina dopo il terremoto del 1968.
Io mi ricordo benissimo, ho un bruttissimo ricordo.
That Silvana reminds. She remembers.
Nel 68 io avevo 9 anni.
She was
My brother
9
Pete, Phil.
Yeah.
They wondering if we have many relatives left in Carlentini.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
But I don't remember their names.
Lou, do you want to walk them to the room where Sam said he'd show how the shoes are, what he does, some of the work?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna go up front where Sam does his work.
Ora ci fa vedere alcune postazioni di dove lavorano.
Nora, we have a lot of relatives in Carlentini. From the
Turn
Cavaliers.
this over to Hey.
McCarthy.
Good talking to everybody.
Hi.
Thanks for coming.
I'm gonna turn this over to Sam now. Good talking to everybody, though.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Let's just
Yeah, Lou would rather be TV than mine.
Okay, so now you're watching Sammy do his work.
Ah, guarda qua.
All done by hand.
È tutto incollato a mano. Tutto cucito a mano.
You have 20 people watching you.
Oh, wonderful.
Donna's one of them. Cousin Donna.
Oh, hey, Don.
Hi, Sam.
In Omaha, if something will be broken, I know where to go.
No pressure, no pressure.
Yeah.
That's Dean Valiato.
Hey, gonna show that one.
Non ho capito cosa ha fatto, ha tolto la suola praticamente, l'ha tolta.
Are you substituting or why did you take out? Usually we add. What is he doing? Like removing the old ones?
So on a Red Wing boot.
What
Get
are
a
you
good
doing?
angle.
Old one?
Sta togliendo la suola
Forse sì, quella vecchia.
e poi ci mette quella nuova.
So many stuff in the middle.
Here's the people watching it too, Sam, so you can see who is there.
Oh, okay.
There's Donna.
Yeah.
There's Ellen.
Ciao.
Fred.
From Sicily, dalla Sicilia. Ciao.
See,
Nick
Sì.
wants it.
yeah, so then,
It just, there's something with the
catch a string here, this you have,
Right, so
So your name is Sam Dimauro?
yes,
So Stan, we had a question. Why do you remove the soles as opposed to just put new layers on the soles?
You gotta start ground up. You have to remove all of this in order to get everything the right way. So like this is ripped out. So we have to hand sew this back on. All of that.
You just add on, you're not fixing anything.
Are those in leather?
Are they leather?
No, it's a material called brown rubber. It's
Materiale sintetico.
a product.
Per i capelli.
Use it.
Adesso sto tagliando tutta la parte strappata e poi sicuramente ci fa a bucca di rincia, penso. Tu ne capirai meglio essendo sarta.
Ogni lavoro artigianale ha delle cose in comune.
A bucca ci può tradurre.
By hand.
Spiegare.
Oh, brava. So
Sam,
you
do
will
you have a finisher?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but all of this you have to get going first.
Okay. How long does it take to fix a shoe like that? A couple of hours?
No, just maybe an hour to get it all ready. It's just the prep work.
Ok, gli ho chiesto quanto tempo ci vuole per riparare questa suola come sta facendo lui. Dice fatta bene in un'ora. And this kind of repair, how much will it cost? Just to have an idea. How much?
About 90.
90.
Yeah.
$90?
Yes.
Things cost money here. A lot of it.
It's more than the price of the shoe.
No.
No, they're very expensive boots. I'll be right.
Che il lavoro conviene farlo solo nelle scarpe che hanno un certo valore.
Sono molto costosi questi stivali, quindi costa $90, Fede. What about when you have to?
I gotta.
What about when you have the high
Here's-
heels?
Hold on, she's asking about. Okay. You can see it now. Okay, go ahead. Say that again, Eleanor.
What about when you substituted just the final ending part of the high heels so that sometimes they go away, or just walking they go thinner, and then what 25? Ok.
$18 to $25.
Allora, Silvana, me lo ricordi quanto costa sostituire un sottotacco di tacchi eleganti a spillo da noi? Un 5 euro?
Massimo. Io
Massimo,
è tanto che non ne
3
faccio
euro.
fare. Che ormai quasi nessuno ne fa di queste cose, tranne.
Là costa dai 18 ai $25. Well,
Mamma
in
mia.
Carlentini will be around 5 euros, no more.
Ma poi in alcune scarpe c'è già i ricambi
Red
che
Wing
puoi mettere tutte.
boots, prices for Red Wing boots are over $300.
Yeah,
When I
those
can-
are very expensive. Mhm.
And the sole is the same sole from the original. So it's only going to last anywhere from about maybe 9 months to a year. So fixing them, this is the 7th sole we put on this boot. So it saved the guy money.
What do you guys usually do?
Because every year he'd be spending $300 compared to $90.
Does that make sense, Eleonora?
Yeah, because if they cost $300, obviously you want to fix them. Yeah.
Yeah, and they have to work. They have to wear a certain type of boot.
Can you go in the snow with that?
Say that again, hon.
Here you go, Bryce. I got it up here.
In the snow, or are shoes used to work?
Find out.
It's a special kind of work boot.
Okay.
Oh, she's
Sono
still,
Translating.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just trying to figure out the function of
sono
that.
degli speciali per lavoro, possono anche andare sulla neve.
The Nick's trying to tell her what it's for.
Sono stivali speciali, stivali speciali.
Do you
And
guys have
how
any questions before I let them go?
How many employees are they?
Here I can show them.
She must know the ways you have.
We have 8 people in here, I think, today.
People that are.
How many?
8.
Eight?
Yeah, you're all.
They probably hear.
Otto.
Yeah, 8 today.
8 persone lavorano là oggi. Ok.
Hai visto
Good.
questo attrezzo che sta usando? È la lesina.
La
Lesina. Si chiama in Sicilia.
Lesina? Silvana knows this tool that you are using now.
What is
We
it?
call it, it's called Lesina.
It is called a jerk hook needle, a straight needle.
A straight needle è un punteruolo dritto.
Sì.
Yeah,
no,
it-
la lesina forse era un po' più corta, più incurvata. Vediamo, però qua lui ha questo qua.
E poi ci guida, prende il filo e lo guida dentro.
Sì, lo
When
tira
you
su.
remove it, you take the cord
Una
with
specie di uncinetto.
Sì, like a needle.
Yeah, well, if it means, I think that's where he gets, like, I'll look at stocks out,
Yeah.
you know, are.
Sì,
Oh,
sì.
I'm not good at this one. Let me keep it right there.
So Sam, what happened to all your competition? You're the only one left.
Oh, hi.
Corona took a lot out, and like Louis, he got they didn't want to renew his lease. They were redeveloping Little Bohemia and didn't want any Italians down there.
Wow.
How's that?
Yeah, well, there's all sorts of
Very nice.
reasons. And he was talking about the real estate, the rent prices. It's hard for a service business.
You know, it really is. So you got to be really careful where you're at in this type of business. That's why a lot of shoe shops are just, you know, one person, and they're in a small little building, and they just have enough work, you know, to keep themselves afloat. Because
Non hanno abbastanza lavoro per stare aperti, quindi è un mestiere che sta morendo sempre di più.
Infatti anche il Carlentino ormai è morto.
It's the same in Carlentini. It's something that people they don't want to do, and it's not very well paid to maintain and sustain the family, and the expenses are. I mean, you have to pay your rent and everything,
My
and people.
brother sells cowboy boots. That's big part of his business as well.
yeah, cowboy boots, dress shoes,
Add new ones on this?
and you know, and we do inexpensive stuff too. People like it. We have a lot of stuff that is sentimental.
Purses. I just had my purse done.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of times people will find, you know, a father's shoes. He's passed away, and they want to wear them, but they're in need of soles, heels.
Ah, questo è interessante. Molti lavori sono legati anche a oggetti che sono a memoria di famiglia. Per esempio, alcune volte il padre che è morto, magari loro trovano un paio di scarpe a distanza di tempo e le vogliono indossare ancora, e allora poi va adattata la scarpa al nuovo piede, va magari restaurata. Questo è un altro genere di lavoro. Quello che gli vorrei dire adesso è che secondo me il motivo per cui da noi sono morte queste attività è che spesso non solo si paga poco, ma poi anche quel poco che si paga spesso si lasciavano le scarpe lì e certe volte te le dimenticavi. Invece questo è di via Contalaimo, è l'unico che attiva un'altra filosofia, che per lasciare le scarpe tu devi pagare in anticipo. e quindi poi è tuo interesse andarle a prendere visto che sono già pagate. I was wondering.
It looks
Comunque,
like
in
it's
Italia
awful hard on
comunque
your hands.
Very. It is.
Yeah.
And if you slip, and the needle goes in your finger, you got to go to the emergency room, and they have to pull it out because you know get stuck in your finger, and they have to take another needle and run it in front of it so you don't.
Oh, I just imagine the palm of your hand getting so sore with the pushing.
Yeah.
Oh, it does. It does, but it's after you do it for a while, you kind of get used to it.
So who taught you how to do this?
My dad.
Suo papà gli ha insegnato questo mestiere. So your dad was a shoemaker too.
Correct.
Everything.
You know what? In Sicily, I think that in Carlentini, a lot of those businesses, they died because when you go to the shoemaker, sometimes you have 2, 3, 4 pairs of shoes. Every pair needs a different thing. And then the people, they used to repair them. And then people, they forget how many, which kind of shoes. And a lot of shoes, they were left abandoned in that shop without being paid. I mean,
That's
the
when
word.
you sell them. That's when you
Yeah.
sell them.
The only shoemaker who is still surviving has adopted a different solution, a different attitude. So if I want to repair my shoes, I go there, I ask how much does it cost that kind of work. And then if I wanted to have my shoes repaired, I have to pay in advance. So I will have all the interest to go back to take my shoes that are no more broken because the work is already paid and I already spent my money. So in this way, they can survive.
Yes. It's a great way to do it. We're still fine doing it the regular way.
I know.
And as long as we can do that, we're in good shape. As long as we get our phone, if our phone works. But my phone's been out for 2 weeks.
My father never had a
Give me-
phone in 50 years of business. And my grandfather too, they never had phones.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're gonna let Sam go, and unless there's more questions, I see some in the chat. I will try to get back here soon. Okay, that was
Sorry.
Joan. That was Joan.
Just hello and goodbye stuff in the chat. But anyway, thank you so much, Sam. We really appreciate you giving us a demonstration and telling us a little bit
Dad
about
and his grandfather.
Yeah, no problem.
And Nick will be in town in a couple weeks for the festival. Eleanor hopefully will be here. Some of the others will be here as well.
Then we take this and glue it into here. And then we sew it and we put a sole on it.
Back on the show.
So right now we got all the easy or the hard work out of the way. The rest is all easy.
Thank you very much.
Alright, yeah.
Thank
No
you.
problem.
You.
All right.
Thanks, Sherry.
Yeah. You can show
Take
Bryce.
the spotlight off Sherry. I'm gonna mute Susan because there was some noise in the background. Hi, Kim. Good to see you.
Talking.
Yeah.
It took me forever to get on.
Were you coming to Omaha?
Yes. Yes, the Piricello family reunion is the Friday evening, and
Friday evening. And she froze up.
of the Santa Lucia restaurant.
Did you, we're gonna be at the where the Trentino's restaurant was at. It's now called the Blue Barn.
Uh-huh.
We're gonna be there Friday evening, and then Saturday, I'm making coodaroonie and cannoli for that night. And then Saturday, I'm making brujol, chicken piccata, and maybe like a stuffed eggplant, as well as cannoli for the family.
Hey, Kim,
Yes.
Cannoli kuduruna.
we're related.
Cannoli, Duruna, Molenciani, Guinea.
What was that?
Fred wants to join your family, I think.
Yeah, good. When you said Gururuni and all that to the bone, I'm coming. Stop it, Endo. I'm ready.
Well, my cousins, well, the other ones, you know, I was kind of in charge of it, and then I kind of got heisted by a cousin who's pretty pushy. And so anyway, it's $50 for Friday evening and Saturday. But I mean, if you really do want to come, I went ahead and paid an extra $50 in case Eleonora was in town. I'd like for her to come and show her off to everybody.
I would love to. I would love my adventure to come to United States keeps going.
Well, I sure hope they you get that taken care of and you're there. I'm still in Missouri. My granddaughter's car had a tree fall on it last week when I was following her to a swimming hole, and we'd had a lot of lightning and wind the night before, and I'm telling you, we're driving down this 2-lane highway and this tree top of this tree just falls on it. So the adjuster called me, the car's totaled. So I got to get that stuff taken care of, and then I should be able to head to Omaha maybe Friday or Saturday. So because I've got to make about 300 or 400 cannoli shells.
Wow, how many? 300-400 cannoli. Holy cannoli.
Vi faccio vedere i miei kudurune che ho fatto la settimana scorsa.
Anna made cannoli too. She wants to show up. Ora pigliare?
No, li ho fatti la settimana scorsa. Ho fatto la foto, l'ho mandata a Giulia.
Last week and she took a picture. Oh, look how adorable is the shape. Belli. Buoni.
Che dentro, Selva. Che dentro.
Sono due, e c'è da ancite e patate.
Gene, did you get all your questions answered about the trains, or did you have more questions about that?
I'm fine. Just the only thing maybe is if there's a better company than another one to go through. But I guess we'll just go to the train station and buy a ticket.
Yeah, you might want to visit them early and just see, you know, if they recommend a certain app to use there or whatever.
I didn't get it. I mean, Jean, are you looking for a train to move around in Sicily?
Yes. And if there's
okay, the best and the official channel is Trenitalia. I can share in the chat. And usually it depends on where you have to go. Sometimes trains, they work better than bus. Sometimes it's better to catch a bus. So it depends on which cities you are thinking. So if you ask me what are the directions where you want to go, I can suggest you, okay, this itinerary is better by bus and so on.
Okay, I can send you an email. I just also answered your email that you sent.
Yeah, so we can talk about this later. With pleasure. I just took a train last week to go to Rome at night, I used to do it when I was a child with the beds. So it's a train where you can sleep, and in France, in the rest of Europe, they are not around anymore, but in Italy they still work, and that's a good compromise if you have to reach places that are very far, like Rome. It takes 11 hours. So I slept in the train, and then when I arrived there was early morning. But in Sicily, let's say the maximum distance is 4 or 5 hours if you go from the western to the eastern side and vice versa. But I prefer the train because there is the bathroom and because you can charge your telephones if you need to, while in the bus you don't have those services usually.
Great, I'll send you an email. Thank you.
See, you're welcome. Well, the good news, seeing that we are in this topic, is that I just went to Rome without an appointment in the embassy. Usually it's impossible to get there without an appointment, but I did it. I said, okay, the worst that can happen is that they put me back home. I said, sorry, I just required for an emergency appointment. You gave me this appointment in 2 hours from my email. That was yesterday, and I was in Sicily. So I have my appointment scheduled for yesterday with 24 hours of delay, and I get in, and then the lady said, okay, just that's an exception. Please wait over here. And then I talked with the embassy and the consul at the end, and they were like, why are you going to United States? And, this is the statue of the association. This is what we have for the Santa Lucia Festival. That's my invitation. I was like, okay, after 20 minutes, the guy was like, approved. You can go.
Wow.
10 years. I can stay as long as 6 months. So that's one of the most complicated visa that we can get, and I'm very happy that that it was approved. My biggest fear was to have that visa denied, because that meant I couldn't come to United States anymore forever, because I already had in the past a visa denied for studying. I said, I want to study to United States. I want to learn English. And then the lady was like, but your English is perfect. Denied. So it's like, so stupid. But that was the truth, actually. So trying to make a long story short, that's why I'm still here in Sicily. I will receive my passport tomorrow. And the scene that was so funny. I took in the train, I get in the train, they told me there is a strike. Maybe this train will never get to Rome, and was the only train who didn't participate to the strike. Now that I'm going to have my passport tomorrow, there is a fire in the airport of Catania. The basement, the ground floor got on fire. So now no airplanes in Catania. I was like, what's that? A conspiracy or what? So we can't get out. I will keep you updated. I'm trying, trust me, I will take a boat to go to Ellis Island, make 40 days of selections, and then I'll be to Omaha.
You should make a movie, The Adventures of Eleanor.
Oh, that's
Good.
a movie.
Okay, Eleanor, we're so happy that you got your visa. We were very worried.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think we can check the trains off. Marianne Safio reminded me about the Carlentini article. I think most of you have seen it, and I did put a few things in the chat. But if anybody has any questions about Carlentini, I can show you some of the images that I was able to collect on Carolyn.
I
But she's
met her
not
mother
related
a
to
couple
me.
of times, and she wasn't real familiar with Sicily.
Yeah, I think Silvana said something to the effect of she was disappointed that she didn't say more about Sicily, but you know, her mother is the one, the non-Italian, who fell in love with the Cinque Terre. And of course, Susan will tell you that it's crowded, and she just mentioned that earlier. But it is beautiful, and the pictures are great.
Mhm.
Part of Italy
It
is,
looks like a fun way to go to ride on the bicycle with Caroline.
C'è questa ragazza che si chiama Cimino che fa la blogger, che è di Omaha e che ha deciso di
vista.
trasferirsi in Italia. Silvana saw the article. Ora stanno parlando di lei.
Sì, sì, l'ho capito perché io ho scritto che questa ragazza non parla assolutamente della Sicilia in quell'articolo e mi è dispiaciuto questo. Per questo ho scritto. Sto
Silvana,
scrivendo, in questo momento sto scrivendo la ricetta della pasta dei cuduroni per Mary Kay, però la sto scrivendo in italiano, diglielo.
She's writing down the recipe for Mary Kay of her recipe of kudruni. But Silvana read the article and she was sorry. I mean, she was not happy that this lady didn't mention at all Sicily. She says originally from Omaha, maybe Carlentinese family or at all. I don't remember.
Sì, carlentinese, sì.
She's mentioned like a
Carlentinese.
She is Carlentinese. It's a little bit strange. Here's the train site. Let me close that out. And so anyway, let me just show you Carolyn's tree real quick. So she
Larry Cimino is her cousin.
So there's her. I put a bunch of those pictures in her gallery already. So her dad is Dr. John. He's a cardiologist. And her grandfather is Lewis. And he was a businessman. He owned all sorts of businesses. And then her great-grandfather is Salvatore, who was born in Carlentini. And then
No, era nato a Carlentini.
And then she's also got Francos, so she's related to Susan. And she's got Monaco. And there's Salvatore Monaco is also from Carlentini. And then Riccieri's are from Carlentini. So she definitely has Carlentini ancestry. All right, so that's enough about Carolyn. Let me move on to a discussion. Okay, so Eleanor, you and I had a little exchange about Thomas. And Marianne, are you still there? You got to help me with the pronunciation of his name. I say it wrong.
Okay, so Lamantia.
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 Okay.
Lamantia.
Lamantia.
Yes, Thomas
Yes.
Lamantia.
I tend to say it.
Lamantia sembra un nome che
the Italians do. But okay, so this is Thomas. Lamantia or Lamantia. He's got, well, this guy we're not really sure about his, the original immigrant. We haven't really figured out where he's from, but he's going to Carlentini and he'll be there when you're gone, Eleonora. So I'm not sure who he's working with as a guide. And he couldn't remember the name, but anyway, so his mother is Caniglia or Caniglia, as they say in Omaha.
If I'm not wrong, there are Erica or my sister who can help. So we are already starting to build our team over here.
Okay.
Is it his own or through Best Things to Do in Sicily?
He was recommended to me through what's her name? The other woman that led a tour group. Sherry led one group, and then there was another group.
Oh, Teresa,
yeah. Yeah. So
okay.
She's been advising him, and she referred him to me. And so in order to figure out, his cousins, I created a document which I want to share with y'all, because I'm finding out that you're all cousins to Thomas, a lot of you. And, so I'm going to share that document if I can find it. It's the descendant list.
They're from Termini.
It's the descendant list of Pasquale Cornelia. And okay, so first generation is Pasquale. And then Pasquale's children are in the second generation, Paola and Gaetano. This is where most of the Omaha Italians come in off of the Gaetano Cornelia and Grazia Pane. And as you go down the list, you can see there's the Butera family. I'm sure there's a lot more descendants that I don't have in here, but
Wow. That's page number 1.
and then it's Grassos, and the Grassos are married to the Turcos, and Mary Kay Turco Lynch. There she is.
He's a third cousin, or his children are a third cousin to my dad, and we know them from school and church. I've been talking to his wife because they're going to stay right where we stayed.
Oh, really? Yeah. So he's also related to Rosetta and Nuccio, Rosetta Nastasi and Nuccio Catalano. So I don't know if he is aware of that, but he should probably get connected with them.
It's all his maternal side, it looks like.
Yeah, this is all maternal. So off of Sebastiano Cornelia and Concetta Terzo, we have a few relatives. And then we get down to Marcuzos and the Vendettis. He's related to the Vendettis. Anna Vendetti is the current vice president of Santa Lucia, and her husband Woody is also on the board. And of course, all the Vendetti brothers, Pat and Joe and Bernie. And then the Ferragudis, he's related to Lucia St. Cyr, who is a former Santa Lucia queen. And what else we got here? Okay, now we're getting into his family. This is his mom and his dad. She went by Fanny, but her given name was Michaela, and she just died early this year. And so here's Michael, his brother Michael, and Thomas. And I think there's a sister too that I may have printed this. And then, okay, here's Mary Ann down here, Mary Ann Sophia.
I apologize. I was driving. Who is this person? Who's the original person that's connected all these people?
Thomas Lamantia, who is a guy who is planning to come here in Sicily at the beginning of August when I will be there. So he will travel over here soon. And he has worked with Nika on his family tree. And then Nick realized that he's related with a lot of us.
So this is his tree, Sherry.
That's an understatement. I'm looking at my phone and I can barely see it. Are we related to him, Donna?
I didn't see your name on the list. I didn't see any of the rumors or any of that. But
I'd like to see his paternal line.
His paternal line, I don't have much. His paternal grandmother, of course, is Piccolo, which is a Carlentini name.
But the Lamantias are from Termini.
Are they?
Because I'm related to them. She was my great-great-grandmother.
Well, that helps a lot, Dean. Thank you.
I'm not saying, definitely he's from Termini. I'm just saying there are some.
Well, I can check and see if there's an Antonino Lamantia who is born on that date in Termini, and that gives me something to go on. So I will see what I can find. Okay, so that's enough about Thomas and the Cornelia descendants. So somehow word got to Jeremy Cornelia that I was working on the Cornelias. And so he contacted me and he sent me a descendancy chart that he had. I guess I don't have Jeremy Cornelia in there, but let's see if I have Salvatore Cornelia, who died in 1925. There we go. Okay, so Salvatore died in an interesting place, Soriano nel Cimino. And Viterbo province is in the Lazio region, which is near Rome. It's about an hour's drive from Rome, I guess. But he died actually in what was a prison. So let me see if I can find this now. I thought I had it pulled up so we could see it. Okay, so here's the map of Soriano, and you can see in relation to Rome that it's an hour and 18 minutes. And then, somewhere here I have a picture.
I went very close to those places last week when I was in Rome. A friend of mine, she hosted me. Are beautiful places. I went to Passo Mirtaro, and then Cassiano was very close by to Rieti. This is the southern part of Umbria. It's not like being in Rome. It's a beautiful area.
So this is Soriano nel Cimino is in the Cimini Mountains. And you can see that this is a hilltop town with a castle on the top of the hill. And this is called the Castello Orsini. And it originally was, of course, a castle, but then it became a prison, a notorious prison. And this is where Salvatore Cornelia died in 1925, was in this prison.
Wow. Those were like little city-states in the past, in the Middle Age. And some of them, they declared war against the Pope because they didn't like the Vatican state because it was expanding, and they were like independent little kingdoms. But we're talking about the Middle Age when they made that castle. Very interesting.
Was he in the military, Nick? Was he like because his military record would have some.
According to the story that Jeremy said to me, he was looking for the death date, and he said he was a political prisoner taken to Porto Longone, also known as Porto Azzurro, in 1894 during the Lunigiana revolt in Tuscany, when Sicilians were fighting for their land and rights. They were killed and jailed by Francesco Crispi. So I've been searching for years for Salvatore's death date and if he is buried in Elba or Carlentini. So I have an Italian friend. Anyway, as it turns out, he wasn't buried in either place. He was most likely buried in Soriano nel Cimino near the prison.
Tu sapevi, Silvana, di questi posti? Soriano è vicino al nord di Roma. Ovviamente erano tutte piccole città-stato. La scorsa settimana io sono stata a Poggio Mirtello,
Certo,
arpa.
perché il Lazio faceva parte della città del Vaticano, dello Stato del Vaticano.
Sì, ed era solo il Vaticano, il città del Vaticano, ma quella era Bassa Umbria, quindi
Certo, ma lo
tutti
Stato era grande, certo, andava oltre il Lazio. Sai che cosa mi ricorda questo nome Soriano? Tu non so se hai visto il film con Sofia Loren e Mastroianni, aspetta, come si intitolava?
Matrimonio all'italiana? No,
No, Filomena Masturano.
Filomena
E
Marturano.
lui, il signorotto, diciamo, che l'aveva messo in gin perché aveva fatto tanti figli con lei, si chiamava Soriano, di cognome.
Ah,
I
Silvana,
miei figli si dovranno chiamare Soriano. E
she's
quindi,
reminding us of the movie with Sofia Loren and Marcello Mastroianni, where Marcello Mastroianni acts the role of a nobleman, and this sir was called Soriano in the movie. And the title of this movie was qual era il titolo di nuovo del film?
Filomena Masturano, che poi è una commedia che ha fatto
Filomena
anche
Marturano. It's a comedy
Filippo.
with Sofia Loren as protagonist.
Sofia Loren era una prostituta, diciamo, e lui aveva
Where
questa
Sofia Loren was
prostituta.
a prostitute. Era quella dove vendeva le sigarette anche? No. Okay.
Antonati here, you're into the 1920s.
Right.
So
yeah, for that particular town, they had pretty good coverage. I was thinking that I would end up in Family Search, but it was on Antonati.
Because you know, I think I hit in Ancestry. I came across, you know, the record in Part 2, Number C of the Mort, the Ati Morte stuff, the death records, and it was like Part 2, Series C, and record number.
There's also a death record for him in Carlentini, is what you're saying.
That is correct. You know, and it's in the same registry that they would put, or the same part of the registry that they would put military deaths, which is like Part C.
Uh-huh. So according to Jeremy, this guy was jailed in the 1890s and he died in prison in 1925, which that's a long time to be in jail for a political prisoner.
Per un prigioniere politico sono tanti anni quelli che lui passò in prigione, perché poi morì nel 1925, però mi sembra che venne imprigionato nel 1918.
La prima guerra fu nel 18.
So anyway, Jim, did you want me to put this URL in the chat for you?
Allora avevi ragione, il film si intitolava
You'd
Matrimonio
have to
all'italiana.
explore to see what else is out there in the 19.
Ma la storia era
Go ahead and put it in the chat if you wanted to look at the Antonati. All right, so Silvana had asked me about Jeremy Garcia and whether she was related to Jeremy. So far, Silvana, I haven't been able to confirm a relationship between you and Jeremy. I'm still working on it. I won't say no yet.
When we're not looking, we find a connection.
Amazing.
Con Mary Kay ci siamo riusciti.
Wonderful. Robert and I had a wonderful experience watching Jeremy perform, playing the guitar, and his wife is the lead singer, and the violinist that they have that's with them is amazing. And then the flamenco dancers, and it was fantastic.
Veramente bello, veramente.
Bello, bello. We are so
Sarebbe
proud.
bello farlo suonare a Carlentini per Santa
It'd be
Lucia.
nice to have him in Carlentini. Ma anche a Omaha for next year, maybe we can add more artists who are related to the Carlentini Omaha history, like Carmelita. I don't know the other bands. Last year, music was amazing. I really enjoyed it. But I think that if more people in our family, let's say, can be involved, maybe nicer.
Ora
Penso
ne
che
parlo col sindaco, vediamo che mi dice. Per fare
Silvana
venire in
wants to
Jeremy.
talk with the mayor to have Jeremy over here.
Vedremo.
Oh, Silvana, you keep going.
Ci provo, ci provo.
Questa è la prima Zoom che siamo vicine, sono in campagna
Ah,
stasera.
sì, sì, mi fa
Sì, I'm in
piacere.
the countryside tonight. We are neighbors now, Silvana.
Mi fa piacere.
Sì.
Un chilometro, quanto è? 2 chilometri forse la
Less
distanza
than
da
a
qui.
mile, alpha mile, sì. Siamo
Poi
mezzo
poi ti vengo
So
a
what's
trovare.
going on with your residential situation? Is this temporary or are you moving?
well, this is my grandma. Well, and now I show you something. This is my
Oh,
first
wait, let me
Zoom.
spotlight you.
Aspetta. Okay, so that's my house over here. Those are the furniture when my mom got married in the 1985. This house hasn't changed in the last years. There are all of my grandma's stuff, all of the glasses. There isn't one that is the same. Usually we have a 6, you know, 3, 4.
Sono tutte spare.
There's always one missing.
Normale.
Yeah. So and that's my grandma Maria, my mom's mom.
Che io conoscevo perché era la bidella della mia scuola.
She was she took care of the kids in the school. Come si chiama la bidella? Non lo so. This was my grandma when she got married with my grandfather. She was 16.
Ma tua mamma ci somiglia molto.
Sì, sì, sì. Maria and Philadelphia. This is here outside my grandma with her sister Giovanna. I think 20 years ago I was around. And that's our family with all the kids just in front of the door. Me, I'm here eating all the time as always. And look at that, like eating something. And that's my sister Federica, my cousin, the singer here, Salvo, me, the other cousin Danilo. And that's it. So
E quella è tua nonna, sì, la conosco.
sì, sì, my grandma was here in the middle. So I have to fix it.
Is this house in Carlentini? Where is it?
Yes, it's just 4 minutes by driving far from Carlentini. And there is a nice...
Vabbè, ma Nick lo sa perché Nick è venuto a casa mia in campagna, quindi è vicinissimo.
Yeah, Nick is very close to Silvana's countryside. So there is a nice garden.
Nella stessa strada.
Yeah, same street. This is a walnut tree. I don't know if you have ever seen the walnuts. In this moment are not ready. You see, this is a walnut.
We have walnut trees in California, and
sorry,
my Boy Scout troop would go gather walnuts and bag them.
Sorry, hazelnut, not a walnut, hazelnut, le noci.
Hazelnut. No, questa è un'altra pianta.
No, è il noce, la Brudanushi. Sì, but they're not ready. See, it's small. And then there are olive trees. My favorite is this one, a lemon tree over here. My car, my baby. You see, there are still lemons.
Wow.
Yeah, and then Laurus, bay leaves. I think bay leaves. Yeah, I can make a limoncello. Now there are simultaneously, there are the small one that are green, not ready yet. And the old
Dice che
one.
si fa con i limoni verdi.
Il limoncello?
No, qualcuno dice che li fa con i limoni verdi, però poi
Many on the ground. Nobody picked them this year.
ma
It's
come?
fine.
Vedi i limoni? Fatto
I
cascare.
vedi limoni. Next year we will make a limoncello classes and you can take your limoncello. Too many lemons. too many.
Did you give up your apartment in the other
No,
town?
my apartment is still there. This house needs a restoration, so before I'll abandon my apartment. So when I will fix it, then I'll move it here, maybe at the end of the year. This was the biggest dream of my life.
So Eleonora, where do you live now most of the time?
I live in in Modica, I'm sorry, in my house. When I will be back to work, I will be there permanently. But now that I have this house, in this moment, I'm not working and I'm waiting to leave. So I prefer to stay in Carlentini if I have to decide. If I have to choose, I prefer to stay here.
Okay, so were there any other topics that people asked me to include that I have not mentioned so far?
No.
No? Okay. Do we need to discuss, Mary Kate? Well, I was just wondering with the group as a whole, do we need to discuss the genealogy room anymore? I know that John and Jean had offered to do some food related things. I don't know exactly what that was, guys. I was talking, I have a gift certificate to Orsi's. And I was thinking of getting a big sheet of pizza, which has 24 slices that I would bring for noon on Saturday. Now, there was some discussion of maybe being there a little bit early for setup. I don't know. I haven't cleared that with anybody because the time that I had arranged was noon to 5. But I don't think it'd be a problem if we got there early. It's just, I just need to clear that. So do we want to start at noon or do we want to start earlier?
Nick, I'm going to be there earlier if you need. I'll have the keys because I have to get some stuff dropped off at the hall.
Okay, so what time do you think you will be there, Sherry?
I'm thinking early in the morning. So if I had to guess, probably 10 a.m.
10 a.m. Okay. I don't think I'll be there that early. The earliest I think I will be there would be 11:30. Because I don't think it'll take us that long to set up.
I have a family reunion that day at Beaver Lake, so that's why I have to go there, drop off all the stuff to get it ready, and then I have to head out back to the lake. The Nuccio Belfiore is coming in town that day.
But Nick, you're gonna bring some pizza Saturday?
Yes.
Do you want me to bring plates or anything? I have plenty of plates, paper plates.
Yeah, that'd be great if you could bring plates and cups if you have them and napkins.
Hey, Nick.
Yeah, I know I have plates and napkins. I don't know about the cups.
Okay.
Hey, Nick, can I pick up a gluten there?
That'd be good,
Yeah.
John. Yeah, I'd love a taste of Gudaruni. Robin and I discussed pizza might go further, but I would love some Gudaruni. Yes,
Nick,
please.
Jim will have all your supplies. Jim has napkins, plates, and forks.
Who?
Jim at Orsi's.
Oh, he'll give us that stuff? Okay.
So I don't need to bring anything?
No, don't worry about it. He'll hand it all to you. The only thing is probably cups.
Okay.
I wasn't sure about what people would want to drink, whether they want to just bring your own beverage type thing, or if somebody wanted to pick something up. Maybe some water. If somebody would pick up a case of water, that would be really helpful.
You can buy that stuff at Orsi's if they're open. You can buy water, pop, whatever you want.
I can get a case. I can get a case of water at Costco.
Okay.
That's what I was thinking. I will try to get down there Sunday. And because I'm sure that I'll bring some of the Porcellos with me down there on Sunday.
For Sunday, we could probably just get food from the festival. Unless you want to organize another meal, but I think one meal, organized meal is probably enough.
I'll make an extra kudaluni and
Who
bring
said
it to
that?
you on Sunday. I can make an
Oh,
extra.
thank you, Ken. That would be fabulous.
What would you like to have in it? I'm doing, our family likes tuna and spinach with fresh grated Parmesan and mozzarella, and then just olive oil.
Sounds good to me.
Do you like that? Do you like the sound of it? It's really, it sounds kind of crazy, but it's really good. So I will make I will make a kudaluni and bring it down to the Santa Lucia Hall at noon on Sunday.
Okay.
Okay.
Excelente.
And I might have some leftover cannolis. Maybe not.
We'll take whatever
What'd you say,
leftovers.
John?
We want to have the risk to fast over there at all.
Okay.
Yeah, nobody's gonna starve.
Oh yeah.
Why
Yeah.
don't you, Gene and I show
I
up
should
on
start the
Saturday?
fasting now.
Pardon me? I bought some new cannoli forms, but they're like 7.5 inches long and about 2 inches in diameter. And it's like they are 2.5 times the size of the 5.5 inch ones. So I'll probably just make the 5.5 inch ones. That'll take a lot of filling to fill those huge ones.
Yeah, well, if you have any leftovers from your family reunion, we'll take them.
Yes, I will put some aside to make sure that I have some to bring.
Are you still
All
up
right.
to go live on Facebook if I come and I'll share on our pages? Maybe people from Carlentini, they can follow
Oh, okay.
remotely.
That sounds good.
What do you think?
Yeah, there was
Well,
some discussion of having a Zoom session live during the 2
So are
days
we
as
on
well.
to do it? Are we still doing it?
There's no problem to do that, but I also think a Facebook Live would be really
I
cool.
think more interactive because I can move and you will be busy talking with people. So
Right.
you cannot be simultaneously with someone and then on Zoom. So, ok, this could be Silvana, in caso vado io live su Facebook. Silvana, quando ci saranno queste meeting là, la festa, in caso vado io live e metto su Facebook tutti quei momenti per condividerli, perché mi dicevano, giustamente, se facciamo una Zoom, come fanno poi a stare anche con la persona di fronte a parlare di genealogia, a stare contemporaneamente nella Zoom? E così i carlentinesi se le possono vedere tutte le volte che vogliono.
Certo, la diretta
Ci provo, mi devo prendere un oggetto.
problema del fuso orario, sempre quello il problema.
Sì, perché così lo possono vedere in differita. I should buy some stuff to hold my telephone. Anyway, I forgot at home. Va bene. Okay, so I think we achieved a lot of goals today.
Yes.
I think I'm going to
Yeah,
see
it
how.
sounds like PJ wants to come back and talk about shoes more, Sherry, at some point. And I didn't realize it was his brother that was there at the shop.
Yes. I don't know if you can hear me very well. I'm in a car wash right now, but I like the idea. One of the gals said that it would be good to publicize this in a different way. So maybe perhaps Nick, you and I can talk about maybe writing something up about today and then letting Omaha World Herald know about the last remaining shoe shops.
Sounds good. So people were asking about PJ's relatives, or was it Lou, the gentleman that was?
Yeah, PJ knows all his family's information, so you can contact PJ. Lou just kept referring to the Cavalieri family, but there's more.
Yeah,
right?
well, see, because well, let me just do PJ's tree because it's more accessible. So PJ is the Ostas are from Gibellina, and but they have Cavalieri in their tree as well. So,
And PJ knows a lot more family information.
so we have, all of this is from Gibellina on the paternal side. But then on the maternal side, Carlentini.
Lots of DePietros.
Cavalieri, Catania, Severino, Ponzio. Huh. That's not a Carlentini name, is it?
They're from,
La mia,
that's
Eleonora,
Gibellina.
la mia maestra si chiamava così, Concettina Cavaleri.
Your teacher at the elementary school. Her name
Yes.
was Concettina Cavaleri, exactly same name. Interesting. Io vorrei fare un sacco di cose ancora.
So I think Cavaliers were the ones that were the shoemakers.
Va bene,
I'm not
adesso loro
sure if Luigi was or not, but when we look at his occupation,
Eleonora, che sono
he was a cabinet maker. So maybe it was like their uncles or something.
Guys, I have to go. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, that's okay.
See, so if I keep going with this tree, Silvana, she will tell me if she wants to stay longer or go. But I think the most important topic we have already done it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so see you next week in Omaha.
Sounds good.
Ci vediamo la prossima settimana da Omaha.
Ok,
Hey,
vi
Nick.
saluto anch'io perché tanto non capisco niente senza Eleonora.
Vero?
Ciao, ciao a tutti.
Silvana, ti abbraccio. I hug
Ci
you
vediamo,
all.
ci vediamo online a Roma.
Online a Omaha, va bene. Un abbraccio.
Ciao,
Ciao.
ciao a tutti. Alla
Ciao.
prossima. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.
Nick, you're not signing off, right?
No.
All right. This is something to think about as a topic that came up. And I remember my mom talking about this when I was years ago.
Mhm.
I think Louis asked a mention about, oh, my uncle was in the army or something, and he was guarding the Italians prisoners of war. Did you hear that? Maybe you guys have already talked about this.
No.
We didn't.
Okay, so what happened in those days, after Italy declared, when they said, yeah, you either say, are you with us or against us? If they were with you, basically, when they joined America, those prisoners they weren't really prisoners. They were and weren't. So a lot of those guys, or a few of those guys, married American girls and stayed here. That's a whole story in itself. But my mom said she remembers as a kid, guys coming into the neighborhood because people had relatives that were prisoners, and they would come over and eat on Sunday, or they would hang out with relatives, and they would reconnect or meet the relatives for the first time. So that really happened.
That would be a great story, Fred, to really research more and get those stories like your mother's story.
Yeah, God, I wish she was still alive. She'd be in all these things. But God, I remember her telling me that, seeing guys around the neighborhood like that. So anybody talk to older relatives that would know anything about that, but that's something to think about down the road. It's really fascinating.
So they weren't prisoners. Why were they called prisoners? I'm confused.
Whoa.
Oh, they were kind of under house arrest, I think is what it
Yeah,
was.
that was more like it then. It was more like house arrest. You would check in and check out, I guess, or however they did that.
Yeah, kind
Then
of
some
like,
of those
maybe
married
a little
girls,
bit like being on probation where you have to check in with a probation officer.
and then once they married somebody here, they were able to stay and become citizens.
But where were they prisoners of war? In Sicily or here? How did they get over here?
Here. No, they were over. You ask your dad about that. Because they were over here in it happened in California. And then when he mentioned that about in downtown or something in Omaha, that spurred a memory about my mom telling me that stuff. And my dad, they talked about that. So you got
I had no idea what he was talking about. The other one would be PJ asked him. I know a little bit more. And then there's Pat Vendetti has never been on our Zoom session. Pat and Joe Caniglia too. The two of them are so knowledgeable about everything.
Yeah, Pat's awesome. I introduced you to Pat, Nick, remember?
Yeah.
I've known Pat my whole life.
So is Pat, which one is Anna's dad?
Pat.
That's Pat.
And his son pitched for the Giants. His son could pitch right and left-handed. He was
Oh, that's
ambidextrous.
right. Yeah.
Played at Creighton, Little Patty, and but he doesn't live in Omaha anymore. But yeah, that was really interesting to hear that when he said that. That just spurred a memory.
Does Joe Caniglia still have an aunt that's like 99?
Josephine. Yeah, Aunt Josephine is still around.
Because
That's her
Joe
name
was
is
an
Joseph.
attorney with my dad. So, and I talked to him once. He said, call my aunt.
Aunt Josephine needs to get on these calls too. I mean, these are the people who, those resources are invaluable. And right now is the only time we have to get them. We need to get them soon.
Francis,
Well, one of the things,
just
one of the
turned
things,
91.
Joanne, are you back with us? But
Yep.
one of the things, oh, it wasn't Joanne, it was Jen that brought this up. Jen Carey had said that she was willing to do something as far as interviewing the old folks if they came to the Santa Lucia Hall. But I don't know if anybody wants to take that banner and run with it, but having some video cameras or some audio recording of some sort and just recording the conversations that happen at the tables would be fascinating, I think.
I could bring my cassette tapes.
That'd be good.
I have a series of questions too, Nick, that I put together, and I did an interview with one person just as a trial down there in Little Italy. Plus we had the whole the learning history, the living history basically that was at College of St. Mary's a year and a half ago. If you guys remember that, that's what Kim Mateo and we had some people that were interviewed and talked about their families and the family history of Little Italy. And a lot of people were so intrigued by the stories, and that was during COVID still. So we could only let 100 people into the hall at the College of St. Mary's. And that was all through Douglas County Historical Society. They're the ones that invited us to that event. But what was interesting is of all the people that were there, members of Douglas County Historical Society, they mostly wanted to know about the restaurants. So, I mean, I know that's a little piece of what you're talking about, but it is a big part of some of the lives of those families. So if we could do something up again where we have that, just invite a bunch of people, then it could be documented with a panel.
Yeah, if you have the question, Sherry, that would be great. Because I know my dad, I told him he had to come down sometime. He's 89. He's one of the few people left that grew up in the neighborhood.
Right. And when we did this, it was January of, 2022, College of St. Mary's. And, we just need a big venue like that, somewhere where we can have everybody gather and then have a panelist. And then what happens is after they give their stories, you have to start asking questions, and then with microphones we walk around, but that could all be documented all in one setting. I don't know if we want to add that to like things to do for like the 100th around that time, or somehow get on the front end of it. I mean, these are things that need to be done now because these people aren't going to be around possibly the next year,
Well, this is part of the reason why I thought the Sons of Italy Hall would be perfect with all those round tables, and you could have all these conversations going on. And so I don't know if you locals could work on that for next year. I think having some kind of genealogy/history event in the Sons of Italy Hall would be ideal.
Okay, that would be something to take up with Dan, I think, and start from there. But you guys, I'm going to have Bruno's going to be in town next year, and I don't know what's going to happen as far as delegates and all that. So it will need to be a committee of people, that's for sure.
Yeah.
The other thing is we don't have dates yet for the 100th, and we don't have a secured location. Those still are things that we have to work with the city on. So to be continued on that end.
That's a good point.
So.
Thank you.
So Joanne, has anything progressed with the importing the artwork? Has that discussion continued, or?
No, that's I mean, right now we're doing the silent auction. We did like a little test out there with things that we knew that weren't going to cost us anything. So as far as like the table, reserving a table and things like that, and we've already, we've raised over $1,300 for that. So that's all something like down the road, if that's something that they want to be able to purchase a couple of pieces and put them in the auction, that would come like down the road for the 100th. I have all of Luciano's information and his booklet and everything printed out. Honestly, I have it in a book form that if you wanted it to have it at the genealogy of somebody, or I could put it in the history booth if somebody's interested, they could definitely reach out to him. I can do that as well. See if that's.
Yeah. Well, we'd certainly be willing to have it there at the Santa Lucia Hall. If Trish would rather have it at the history booth, she's welcome to that. But
okay. I'll check with her and see what she thinks. But right now we're getting set for, Sherry was there this past weekend of making the gelato and cleaning the hall and getting the float ready and just all that good stuff, repairing everything and getting everything ready to go. So
I noticed that you said something about you are operating the Bocce
Social Club. Yes.
Social Club. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell us about that.
So, well, that's been going for probably about 8 or 9 years now. When we were down at the landing and we had the bocce courts, we were so far away. They were so far away from everything that my son decided, how cool would it be if we could build like a bocce bar and we would be down on this end. So if people wanted something, they wouldn't have to go through the whole thing. So that's where it started. And then it just kind of developed into a social club. So this year we really want to push more of the social aspect of it. Like we want to have a public bocce court so that the general public can play, because we always get people that come up and say, can we play? And we have to say, no, the tournament's going on. So we want to have an area just for that. We want to have bag games. We want to add some more youth things, children's things like that to it. So we want to make it more of a social area, not just, the bocce bar, but we sit right up on the corner, right next to the arch. So we're right on William Street on that corner there is where we sit. So
that was a great setup. That was really cool. I enjoyed that.
And Well, and we, so that, we've got the alcohol. So for the 100th, we want to have some surprises. We want to try and like maybe bring in some Aperol spritz or some limoncello spritz. We kind of want to, we want to bring in something else to it. So each year we kind of add more to it. So, yeah. So that's kind of where the bocce social came in. It's just another area for people to be able to sit and hang out and socialize.
You, Marianne?
See you, Marianne.
Bye, Marianne. Hey, Joan, is there any chance we can bring back the ponies for the kids?
We've asked about bringing stuff for the kids to add on things like that for the kids.
Yeah.
So, we've even talked about like maybe just putting one Ferris wheel there, but that's like a really big cost and the neighbors aren't really too fond of it. That's the other thing that we're kind of restricted by with where we're at is the neighborhood. So we have to be very mindful of all of the houses that are there and things like that and things that we add. So
is it possible to use the parking lot of the school for any of that? Even though
that's one thing that Father is really adamant about us leaving open, because when he has mass, he wants his parishioners to be able to have a place to park. So those are just some of the issues, the hurdles that we have. We can't use the Christ Child parking lot. We can't use the school parking lot. So those are just some of the hurdles that we have to endure if we want to stay where we're at. And everybody loves where we're at. The only thing is this year, I don't know who decided on the dates, but I think I don't think this year's dates are the greatest because it's too close to people that are going back to school. They're moving their kids into college. It's too late in the year. A lot of people are like, why isn't it in the end of July like it has been? Who moved it? And the whole idea, I think somebody was thinking they want to get it closer to the festival time in Carlentini, but that doesn't work in our area of town because like I said, we've got a lot of people that told me we won't be there because we're going to be out of town or we're going to be here or we've got this. And, they were planning that second week of July or the end of July. And then all of a sudden it popped up in August.
I just hope next year it's not the end of July though, because I'm going to be in Kansas City. Ken is the president of a conference and I won't be able to make it to the festival if he's out of town, unfortunately.
Usually, so that's the last weekend, Sherry?
Yeah, I'll have to double check they just made the announcement for the dates. I'll send you the I have.
Because if it would have been happening, we'd be having the festival this weekend. I mean, if we did it like we did last year, it would be happening this weekend.
Right.
So those are just hurdles that we have to get over and we'll let you know what we find, what we figure out. But we have a whole 100th committee that's working on different things, and we've got some spectacular lighting that we're going to do this year of the church, and hopefully we can do it for the whole festival for the 100th. So it'll be pretty nice. And they're going to have more merchandise. They want to have at least 7 or 8 different types of shirts for sale. So they're working on those things right now as we speak too.
Sherry, I want to thank you for the tour of the shoe shop. The last shoe shop in Omaha. The times they are changing.
They sure are.
Dean, how many did you say there were originally?
In 1948, there were 91. In 1929, I think there were about 300.
Oh, wow. So yeah, from 300 to 91 to 1.
Well, and one of the names, one of the gals that works at Sammy's Place mentioned who Uncle Andy bought the shoe store from. And that would have been in like if Donna's still there, it would have been like in the 40s, I think, or 50s, that he would have bought it from somebody who started it in the 20s or 30s. So I got to find out who that person.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get, up close pictures of all of those things that you had on the wall, and
I'll get a ladder. next time I go
Yeah,
up there.
do the ladder. All right, well, thank you all. It's been a good meeting, and I'm really looking forward to Omaha. You guys will have Eleonora next week. I won't get there until August, so we're still, what, a couple weeks out. But really looking forward to it, you guys.
Looking forward to seeing you too, Nick.
Thank you.
Thanks, Teresa.
All right,
Thanks,
guys.
Justin.
Take
Thanks,
care, everybody.
Dean. Thanks, Bob. Thanks, Donna. Thanks, Jim. Thanks,
Ciao.
Mary Kay. Fred, as always.
See you soon.
Jim, thank you so much for coming.
See you guys.
All right, we'll see you all next week.